Thank you, Malika, and thank you, HOA, for this opportunity. I would like to talk on vitreopapillary traction in PDR. This was way back in 2013. This patient was on follow-up, regular follow-up, 60-year-old male diabetic patient. Right eye had poor vision because of silicone oil filled eye, multiple surgeries done elsewhere. Left eye had post-laser PDR status stable with good near and distance vision. You can see a lot of fibrovascular proliferation, but it was like looking very stable. And we were following up the patient. And he came with decreased vision in the left eye. Vision had decreased from 6/12 to 6/24. And we were just wondering what was the cause. And this was the OCT of the same eye showing a normal macula, no macular edema, no ERM, no macular traction. The proliferation on the disc was visible like this. It was showing some traction. And this was the time at which I became interested in whether this was a vitreopapillary traction. So we were not sure at that time. Therefore, we just followed up the patient for a couple of months, and the vision did not improve, and it actually started deteriorating a little bit more. And then we said, okay, and OCT also showed increasing traction over about more than 6 months. At this time, we said, okay, it's time that we did something about this, and we went ahead and did the surgery for this patient. It was a vitrectomy. So this was a patient who had a stable PDR with stable macula, no edema traction. We could not explain any other cause for a decrease in vision. There was a gliotic tissue causing traction on the disc and OCT showing increase in traction. So we ultimately were quite convinced that this was a vitreopapillary traction, and we did surgery, which was usual with PDR surgery. What you have all seen, this was a proliferation on the disc and extending almost nasally. So I am having a less threshold for bimanual surgery. I switch over to bimanual surgery whenever I have to deal with extensive membranes like what Shobhit does. And here the main idea was to circumcise the proliferation on the disc. Generally, in a situation like this, when there is such a thick fibrous membrane on the disc, I am not so as bold as Satish to peel it off and pull it off the disc. My idea is to circumcise it around the disc so that the traction on the disc is relieved. And you can see that I'm using bimanual surgery in some part to remove the membranes as there is an extensive proliferation. And when it comes around the disc, we see that main aim here, you can see that this is the disc and this is the fibrovascular proliferation. And in the end, I'm able to cut the membranes all around the disc and relieve the traction completely. Most of the other membranes have also been relieved. That is the disc, and that is the traction around the disc that I'm relieving now, that you can see. That's the, relieving the vitreopapillary traction in this patient, and we trim it with vitrectomy for, cutter at the end. And you can see that we were able to remove almost all the membranes quite well. And this was the picture at the end. You can see that almost all the membranes are relieved. There is a large stump left on the disc, and this patient did well. This was a post-op picture, a small stump left on the disc. Patient's vision improved to 6/12, and in the last 7 years of follow-up, patient has maintained the same vision. And subsequently, we started noting the vitreopapillary traction entity more and more. These are some of more examples of patients, with pre and post-op picture of vitreopapillary traction, having undergone surgery. And you can see that we have left behind the stump on the disc and relieving the vitreopapillary traction. Look at the pre and the post-op OCT of these patients. Look at the pre and post-op OCT of these patients. So we gradually collected a series of patients with vitreopapillary traction, which we in our subset of patients was a component of PDR. And these patients presented with reduced vision, and we could not explain. It was in the absence of macular edema or traction or other causes. And most of the changes were around the disc, and therefore we concluded it's a vitreopapillary traction. And OCT is a very good tool to really pick up these vitreopapillary traction. And vitrectomy, of course, is general. It's nothing special in these patients. MIVS is suited well. The goal is to relieve papillary traction, remove most of the membranes, and endolaser PRP. And here I would again emphasize what Satish said: do not induce PVD by suction, and pulling. Here, as I said earlier, I don't really remove that membranous tissue from the disc. I would rather leave it on the disc after relieving the traction by circumcising around the this one, you just have to circumcise these membranes, and then the disc proliferation, disc traction is relieved, and the patient's vision improves. So we had a series of 13 patients, which we analyzed some time ago, age ranging from 32 to 74. All of them were post-laser PDRs and presented with blurred vision. We did not jump into surgery in the first visit. We followed up these patients for at least 2-3 months before we, advised surgery and did the surgery. 10 patients agreed to undergo surgery, and the post-op ranged from 6 to actually more than that, 6 to almost 5 to 7 years. And in all those patients in whom we operated, the vision improved, quite reasonably well. OCT demonstrated relief of traction, and 3 patients who did not undergo surgery for personal reasons. They were not willing for surgery. One has shown mild increase in the progressive vision loss, and the vision did not improve spontaneously. The only other article of vitrectomy for vitreopapillary traction is from Peter Kroll's group. And then they had, way back in 1999, reported 17 patients with vitreopapillary traction in proliferative diabetic vitreoretinopathy, on whom they did vitrectomy, and all of them showed increase in visual acuity. 15 of 17 patients improved in visual acuity, and they also did VEP, and it improved in traction. So in conclusion, I would like to draw your attention to this entity of vitreopapillary traction, which can often coexist with other pathologies, hemorrhage, macular traction, etc. But it should be considered as a cause of decreased vision. In some patients with PDR, do not lose of sight of this fact. And clinical features and OCT of the disc, which we don't often do in our patients, can help you to diagnose the VPT. And surgery can definitely be considered in many of these patients and can improve vision in many of these patients. Thank you.
Thank you, Murli. Looks very, very convincing, your approach, because how it looks so fascinating that macular OCT normal, but OCT of the optic nerve under traction and vision improving in majority of these patients. Did you do in your study VER in all these patients?
No, I didn't do in any of these patients. No.
And did you publish your data? Because there's only 2 decades back, one report only.
Yeah, actually, we presented this in the Vitreoretinal Society of India meet a couple of years ago, but right now we are probably trying to get more cases. We have more cases. We're just trying to get all the cases together and probably publish it somewhere. Yes.
Yeah,
I think only you presented this in the Lavasa meeting. It was quite a few years back.
Yes, yes.
And then after that, I came back and I did one case where I identified this. I picked it up from your presentation.
Yes.
Anybody else has any experience of macular OCT normal and vitreopapillary traction surgery?
I have one only-eyed patient who has 636 vision.
Okay.
And he went down to counting finger. I identify this. I had seen Murli's presentation. I especially did that presentation that I saw that patient last month again for follow-up. It's been more than 5 years. I did not have the courage to pull off the band, only-eyed patient. I did a segmentation around and left it at such.
I think trimming is good enough as the traction is
patient improved. The patient improved dramatically. He maintained 624 for nearly 5 years. He has maintained. And last month when he came to me, I was wondering, the disc was showing a little more pallor and he was 660. It has dropped in this year.
Satish, yes, your comments?
I think we do see quite a few patients with this vitreopapillary retraction. I think one of the way we identify this is if you can probably document this photographically, you will actually be able to identify that there is a slightly increased amount of pallor of the disc as time progresses, which actually is a very good indicator for us to say that this is a vitreopapillary retraction. Now, as far as relieving it, if the vitreopapillary retraction has got a plane all around the disc, then we can circumscribe like what Dr. NSM has shown us. We can circumscribe and leave a stump on the disc. But it does not happen always. And sometimes what happens is like with the picture I showed you, there is a very kind of a broad attachment unless until we don't remove that. Suppose let's say that broad attachment, it was an inferior nasal and I've left it. I was very sure that these kind of patients are going to deteriorate over a period of time.
Yeah.
You may operate at 660 vision. The patient at the end of 6 months will go to 3/60. So the entire...
Yeah, I think let's go to Rajesh to, yeah,
I
sure.
just ask one question from Satish and you and Dr. Murli. If we had any way of seeing the perfusion of this disc with the membrane, which is not possible, and then again repeating an angio, we would find some difference in the perfusion of the disc also.
Yeah, probably we are trying to do OCTA before and after. Probably that will be the next thing to do, but that, probably that will tell us whether this surgery has improved. But Satish, just to counteract what you said in that patient, in most of the patients, the traction is the anteroposterior. See, once you cut the attachment of the vitreous and the surrounding peripapillary traction to that stump on the disc, you have actually relieved it. You don't really need to pull it off.
No. I'm again telling you that if the attachment is only on the disc, this is how you go all around the disc and then you can just circumcise that and then you can leave it. But what if it doesn't happen always like that, sir. Sometimes what happens is you have a broad basal attachment onto the nasal side. Okay, or it could be along the inferior rod gate or along the superior rod gate. When you have such kind of a broad basal kind of an attachment, even if you try to circumscribe, you will not be able to, you leave few clock hours. Those few clock hours are going to contract and continually produce traction. It's not always anterior posterior. There is also a component of a tangential traction which tends to occur. And
in addition, I want to add one thing, that this traction is on the glial tissue of the optic nerve head. So just by relieving the 360 degree will not relieve this traction from the glial tissue. So it's always better to clear off from the surface of the optic nerve head. There can be a slight oozing will be there, but it's better to relieve.
No, I think Murli, basically what happens is, and what you're actually pointing out, what happens is sometimes you have the membrane going downwards towards the retina. That's what's causing the tangential traction. And just recently operated one such patient. Now you have to make that separation so that the retina and the optic nerve, that junction, is clean. It doesn't matter. I left the stump over there because it was going deeply into the disc. So, but the important thing is that the junction of the nerve and the retina has to be clean. It doesn't have to be that you have to remove the stump. If you try to pull that stump without removing that surrounding, you'll actually tear the retina.
So I think Satish showed that in one of his videos to relieve that.
The point is about removing the membrane at the junction between the retina and the nerve and cleaning it up upwards so that the tangential traction also clears off.
That's exactly what I do in almost all my patients.
Yeah.
Just try to relieve the attachment between the disc and the peripapillary retina.
Exactly. Yeah. That has to, once that is clean, the tangential traction is also gone.
Yes.